ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಆಡಿಯೋ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎರಡನೇ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಜನಿ, DTC ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೆಡ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೆನ್ಸಿ ರೇಟ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಬೆಡ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೆನ್ಸಿ ರೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಮೇನ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೂಡ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ನ ತಗೋತೇವೆ. ಆ ವೈಟಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆನ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಪೇಷಂಟಿಗೆ ಪಲ್ಸು, BP, ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರಿ ರೇಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ವೈಟಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೀವೋ ಆ ಥರ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಡ್ ಆಕ್ಯುಪೆನ್ಸಿ ರೇಟು ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್. ಹೌ ಎನ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಿಂಗ್ to the relative expenditure on the hospital. To calculate that, there are many indicators. One of it is bed occupancy rate. There are other indicators like bed turnover rate, average length of stay, inpatient days, and other how the treatment is going on. For that, there is something called as mortality rate, recovery rate, discharge rate, death rate, medical audit of death. Like that, there you can develop as many indicators as you want. But since ages, bed occupancy rate is an important statistics to analyze the function of a hospital. For example, there is a hotel, and if in corona time hotel lodges are not functioning well, so all the rooms will be vacant. What you will understand by that? The hotel is not functioning well. The owner will not get the income. Like that, a hospital, if it is 200 bedded hospital, what are the number of beds to be occupied by the patient if the owner of the hospital has to get income, and if the hospital has to run with a income generating project? The owner of the hospital may be corporate sector, a company, single owner, or a government, or quasi government, of government, or a trust. Whoever runs the hospital wants income. Hospital, even though it is a servicing sector, any hospital wants income. It has to auto run. Auto run means what? The hospital has to run. To run, you have to give salary to the staff, have to pay the electricity bills, have to pay the laundry bills, you have to maintain the equipment may wear and tear, depreciation, building insurance, building maintenance, electricity, water supply, insurance, staff salary, staff illness, staff insurance, office personnel, health information management system cost, phone cost, internet cost. Likewise, there are many costs to run the hospital. If the beds are not occupied by the patient, you cannot run a hospital. You cannot run a vacant hospital. So, bed occupancy rate. What do you mean by bed occupancy rate? Suppose you have got 200 beds. How many beds are occupied by patient in the given period of time? That is called bed occupancy rate. You can calculate the bed occupancy for 1 month. Usually it is calculated for 1 year. Also, what do you mean by average length of stay? ALOS. Before, a cesarean patient used to stay in the hospital for 7 days. Now, within 4 days, we are going to discharge the patient. Before total knee replacement, TKR surgeries, they used to stay for 10-15 days. Now 24 hours discharge. Open heart surgery, maximum 2 days. Brain surgery, 2 to 3 days. That is the new era of medicine. Suppose if you do, when it's a maternity hospital and every patient stays for 7 days, the bed turnover rate, how many patients are treated by that given bed? I mean, how many patients were admitted to that bed number 44 in 1 month? If cesarean cases are staying for 7 days, only 4 patients can occupy that bed. If you are discharging every 4 days, like any improvised healthcare, you can admit as many as 7 patients per month of cesarean in that given number 44 bed. So what is the bed turnover rate? In the first case, it is only 4. In the second case, it is 7. So the income generation to the hospital is increased. In any given surgery or in India, average length of duration of stay for either medical illness or surgical illness, surgery, it is usually 5 days. For example, hospital has got hospital-borne infections, hospital-acquired infection, HAI. The bed turnover rate automatically comes down. That's why any hospital does not want hospital acquired infections, because a new patient admitted means surgery, number of surgeries can go high, the admission cost will increase, the ICU cost will increase, hospital will generate the income. So in the midnight head count or the midnight head census, that is called inpatient days, that is usually calculated at the midnight 00 hours. Inpatient midnight head count for the Monday is calculated at 00 hours of the midnight Monday and Tuesday junction. That is called midnight head count. That is also an important census in the calculation of hospital performance. For example, all patients come and get a IV fluid and they get discharged within 6 to 8 hours. That is not an income generation activity to the hospital. That's a daycare service or a outpatient based service that will not generate any income to the hospital. If the patient stays midnight, nursing charges, the bed charges, or whatever the charges hospital want to put, ICU charges, ventilator charges, like that, the income generation activity of the hospital increases. That's why there is another important statistics called midnight head census. So average length of stay, midnight head census, bed occupancy rate, and bed turnover rate. These are important statistics to calculate the performance of a hospital. Even in the government hospitals, the matron or the nursing superintendent 2 grade 1, they usually give census to the hospital administrator in the first hour of the working day, so that the administrator knows. Suppose in the midnight head census, the hospital bed strength is 200 and the midnight head census is just 60. The bed occupancy rate is low. What are the causes for low bed occupancy rate? The popularity of the hospital may be less. Doctors in the night duty may not be very appealing to the public, or there may be absenteeism of the doctors, or in the midnight, the hospital may not be catering the emergency services. So, any hospital midnight census, if it has to increase, doctors of all fraternity, surgery, physician, intensivist, like that, they should be available. Then the public automatically come to that hospital. Then the nature of the staff, the cordial nature of the staff increases the bed occupancy rate. The midnight availability of the lab services, midnight availability of the blood bank services. Like these services, the more you provide in the midnight odd hours, the bed occupancy rate automatically increases. The more the bed occupancy rate, the more generation to the hospital. In that case also, If the bed occupancy rate is above 85%, there will be overcrowding. Why we keep the dead bed occupancy rate of 15%? The 15% is to handle the unwanted, unprecedented emergencies like maternity delivery, accidents, polytrauma, burns, any mob, any multiple injuries or accidents. Like that, there should be 15% dead space for any to handle any emergencies. So what is the good bed occupancy rate? It is 80 to 85%. If it is less than 80%, the hospital can be called at, the hospital is running at loss. So you will be hearing ಆ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮಾರಾಟಕ್ಕಿದೆ. So what do you mean by loss? If the bed occupancy rate is less than 80%, the hospital cannot maintain its cost. It cannot give the salary of the staff. It cannot bear the electricity charges. It cannot bear the water, tax, building depreciation, equipment depreciation. Like that, it cannot maintain the charges. So, any hospital administrator should look into the bed occupancy rate of the given hospital. He should have vision to increase the bed occupancy rate. If it is overcrowded, he has to plan to reduce. So, good bed occupancy rate is around 80 to 85%. Average length of stay of the patient is patient should not go discharge against medical advice, or he should not leave the hospital telling that the hospital services are not good. You should queue as shortest time as possible. Average length of the stay of the hospital also indicates the quality of the services. For example, an asthmatic attack. Patient gets nebulized and you will be paying the doctor's charges, nebulization charges, oxygen charges. You will be discharged within 24 hours. You will have to pay all the charges to the hospital. But if you keep the patient for 5 to 6 days, you will be paying only the duty doctor's charges, no new admission charges. You cannot go on putting the charges to the patient. The more the admissions, the more income to the hospital. Why? There is something called as costing. Costing in hospital management. What do you mean by costing? Daycare services. In the OPD, if you see the patient in the OPD, what are the charges incurred to the hospital? The hospital has to bear the lighting, fan, tax, the consultation charges, some bills, stationery charges, receptionist salary, and you have to maintain the restrooms, that maintenance charges. Like that, for an outpatient, it's less price to maintain the outpatient department. So many hospitals can run the OPD department easily. To run an inpatient, it has more cost to bear, like electricity charges, water charges, building depreciation charges, building maintenance charges, insurance to the staff, health salary to the staff, medical equipment maintenance. Then any negligence, the hospital has to go to the court, office staff, the software cost. There will be hidden charges to the bed. A bed is not a bed. If you want, you can put 1,000 beds, but you cannot run a hospital with 1,000 beds unless there is a equivalent supply of human resource and other hidden cost to the bed. So to a bed, for example, to run a bed in a ICU, it costs around 6,000, 4 to 6,000 related to the ambience to an hospital. It cannot run the inpatient bed without incurring that much charges to the staff nurse, 1:1 ratio of the staff nurse, cleaning staff, biomedical waste generation per bed. Everything you have to calculate. That is called costing. So costing is the important word in hospital management. So these hidden charges you should study. So what do you mean by costing? That also you should study. And I am giving the bed occupancy rate calculation, average length of stay, bed turnover rate, all this in the WhatsApp group of Tumkur paramedical students group. So please study those rates, calculate, study in the internet also it is available. If it's not, if you don't have a text of hospital administration or medical records, then any questions you can post me on the WhatsApp group. So today's homework for you is these four calculations: BOR, average length of stay, bed turnover rate, inpatient day. What do you mean by inpatient day? Midnight head count census. Then what is costing in hospital administration? Thank you.